The G20 in Johannesburg marks a pivotal moment. Hosted by South Africa, the first time for any African country.
First time that the summit is being hosted by an African country. South Africa is the sole G20 member from the African continent. Of course, you have the African Union there now through the presidency of India in 2023 when the AU was a full member. So from a symbolic point of view, this is a very important event pertaining not just to South Africa, but the African continent, demonstrating that Africa is capable of providing global leadership.
The theme, solidarity, equality, sustainability for our G20 presidency. Guided by our theme, we will use our G20 presidency to refocus global attention on the social, economic, and environmental dimensions of development in the economies of Africa and the global South.
The 19th summit brings together the world's top economies representing 85% of the global GDP and $100 trillion in trade, almost 75% of the planet's population, from climate change to debt relief. Key agendas include reforming multilateral institutions and countering economic fragmentation amid US-China tension. Confirmed attendees include Prime Minister Modi and Chinese President Xi Jinping, signaling a robust global South presence. India's 2023 legacy shines when Prime Minister Modi championed African Union's permanent membership, hugging the African Union chair Azali Osmani and sitting him at the high table, a move that elevated Global South's representation from 19 to 20 plus voices, countering Western dominance in the G20 bloc.
आगे की कार्रवाई शुरू करने से पहले मैं अफ्रीकन यूनियन के अध्यक्ष को G20 के स्थायी सदस्य के रूप में अपना स्थान ग्रहण करने के लिए आमंत्रित करता हूं।
This inclusion, backed by India's diplomacy, sets the tone for Johannesburg, where Africa leads on equity.
So India has driven the G20 with a lot of commitment. It has demonstrated its leadership of G20. Normally, G20s were being driven by the G7 countries. But if you look at the last 4 years, starting from Indonesia to India to Brazil to South Africa, continuously for 4 years, the G20 meetings were held by the countries of the Global South. India demonstrated its commitment towards Global South by having a very ambitious, very action-oriented and a forward-looking agenda. More than anything else, it ensured the entry of African Union as a member of G20 and made it G21.
But the summit faces drama, as Trump's white genocide narrative sparks a White House firestorm with Ramaphosa that began earlier this year.
Have they told you where that is, Mr. President? No, I'd like to know where that is, because this I've never seen. But, okay.
I mean, it's in South Africa this week.
Trump continues to accuse South Africa of human rights abuse against white farmers, leading to a total US boycott. Trump's Truth Social post seals it. No US delegation, citing South Africa's alleged abuses.
For generations, Miami has been a haven for those fleeing communist tyranny in South Africa. I mean, if you take a look at what's going on in parts of South Africa, look at South Africa, what's going on. Look at South America, what's going on. You know, I'm not going to, we have a G20 meeting in South Africa. South Africa shouldn't even be in the Gs anymore because what's happened there is bad. I'm not going. I told him I'm not going. I'm not going to represent our country there. It shouldn't be there. Take a look at what's happening in different parts of South America. Take a look at what's happening in different parts of the world.
South African president is undeterred. who says it's Trump's loss.
All I can say in my experience in politics is that boycotts never really work. They have a very contradictory effect. The United States, by not being at the G20, one must never think that we are not going to go on with the G20. The G20 will go on. All other heads of state will be there. And in the end, we will take fundamental decisions, and their absence is their loss.
As PM Modi and Chinese President Xi Jinping step up, underscoring G20's resilience without Washington, Trump's antics have once again dragged his lack of strategic fortitude into focus.
The absence of the United States at the G20 shows really an abdication of leadership in international efforts for peace and prosperity. The reason given is totally bogus, that somehow South Africa is discriminating and even killing whites, and so that where you're staying away is not borne out by the facts, and indicates that a great democracy like India, other great democracies which are in the G20, must step up to provide leadership based upon those principles and values which have made India a great nation.
South Africa views Trump's absence as minimal disruption, focusing on equitable trade and debt reforms.
On false grounds of the charges of discrimination against Africans. And that too, when you read the history of the anti-apartheid movement in South Africa, where the African community was found to be, in fact, the most discriminatory, to the extent of using barbaric kind of means to punish, to hurt the black majority of South Africa. And therefore, for Trump to give the argument of discriminatory behavior against the Africans is ludicrous. In fact, it is laughable, really.
Amid Trump's snub, India's African Union push is paying dividends. Whereas for host South Africa, priorities include managing India-China tensions and amplifying African voices.
It's very important that India works with the countries of the Global South. Only when the countries of the Global South unitedly work for causes of sustainable development goals, of climate, of greater flow of financial resources from the developed part of the world to the Global South. After all this crisis of climate have been caused by the developed world. And therefore, it's necessary that to realize that the only institution which can drive the cause of the Global South is the G20 as an institution. United Nations, Security Council, WTO have outlived their utility. But amongst the multilateral forum, the only forum left today is the G20, and it is necessary that irrespective of the stand which the United States has taken, all the countries of the Global South work together and support South Africa.
I don't think South Africa will be looking forward to or will be attempting anything in particular to manage the geopolitical situation globally, whether it is a USA vis-a-vis India or USA or Europe or USA and China. I don't think that is not the remit of G20. G20 was basically formed to manage the economic situation, economic expectations of the developing world. And if you remember, it was formed in the wake of the financial crisis after the Lehman Brothers had gone under. And the major agenda for G20 really is economic. It's a formation of the major developing country bloc and the developed countries bloc, G7 plus others.
Amidst all this, enters President Xi Jinping. His attendance not only bolsters China's multipolar vision, but also counters US-led decoupling.
Well, I think we have to look at the context just slightly. I mean, this is the first time that the G20 is being held in Africa. The slogan is solidarity, equality, sustainability. Now, these are things that, definitely reflect the global South. They want to talk about issues like economic recovery, climate financing, food security, digital transformation. And the U.S. has boycotted. Trump has said some nasty things about South Africa, somehow being unfair to white South Africans. And Rubio deliberately boycotted the ministers' meeting before. China is presenting itself as consistent, that it's a power that is interested in continuity and engagement.
G20 eyes supply chain resilience. China emerges as a significant power in the room, wielding critical minerals and tech sovereignty.
China has been growing its trade outside of the traditional Western markets, especially the developed countries. You start looking at Europe and the United States, and you'll see that China has reduced its trade footprint with them. I shouldn't say reduced. There's also been a push to push China away. But it has been increasing dramatically in other areas, to the extent that Chinese trade is actually growing at a fairly fast clip, around 5 to 8%, depending on which month that you're talking about, in the face of this kind of united opposition to China.
Trump's approach is polar opposite to India's, where Delhi championed inclusion. With PM Modi leveraging for African ties, Trump has chosen isolation amid his tariff war.
We believe in a multilateral world, we believe in a multipolar world, and we believe that America will come back to the G20. After all, G20 was started by the United States of America. United States of America will be hosting G20 next year in the United States. It is therefore imperative that the United States plays a constructive and a positive role for the future prosperity of the world. It's also important that India works together with all other countries, including China. We work together with Russia. We work together with European countries. All of us need to work together. There are certain causes which require us. Global growth, global prosperity is necessary.
Johannesburg's G20 isn't merely a gathering of nations. It's a dawn of a new world order. From PM Modi embracing a hug at Delhi's high table to President Xi's strategic stride, fractured West fights for relevance as emerging powers claim the rightful seat.